Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Coffee, where today we're going to be diving into the Act 3 updated and expanded of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Yes, this is what you have all been asking for in the comments, the Jedi Paxis Rise of Skywalker updated and expanded Act 3. So there will be a spoiler warning here for this video. This is the final act of The Rise of Skywalker. If you haven't seen the overall plot, the detailed Act 1 and the detailed Act 2, you should be sure to go check out all of those videos, have them on the channel, and then come back and watch Act 3. Alright, with that being said, thank you to all of the returning subscribers, and if you are new to this channel and you love Star Wars, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on this video and any other content you watch, and be sure to hit that notification bell not once, but twice, so that you are always updated whenever a new video goes live. But with that being said, let's dive on into the updated and expanded Jedi Paxis Act 3, The Rise of Skywalker. Here we go, starting off on Act 2. Following her experience on the Death Star, Rey returns to the island on Act 2. Throughout the course of the film, she has given in to her aggression, nearly killed her friend by unleashing a stream of lightning on a ship, learned that she's the descendant of a Sith Lord who reduced the Jedi to numbers that they had yet to recover from, even half a century later, saw a vision of herself as a servant of darkness, and stabbed her enemy through the chest in anger. Her most recent encounter with Kylo was the last straw, and Rey has now made the decision to follow the example set by Luke and exile herself on the island where the Jedi began. Rey scuttles the ship she stole from Kylo and throws the repaired lightsaber originally constructed by Anakin Skywalker in after it. A ghostly hand snatches the lightsaber out of thin air as it's being thrown. It's Luke Skywalker. Luke's conversation with Rey is said to be encouraging, yet realistically grim in tone. Luke knows firsthand what it's like to face Palpatine, and it's not an easy task. Rey must confront Palpatine in the same way that Luke once had to confront Vader. Luke encourages Rey by telling her of the faith Leia had in her. She saw potential within her and hoped that Rey would be able to restore balance to the Force once more, just as Anakin once did. Rey supposedly asks to speak at Leia at one point, but Luke responds by telling her that Leia has not yet completed her training and cannot yet feel her distinctive consciousness within the Force. By the end of their conversation, Rey is re-energized for the seemingly insurmountable task that lies ahead of her, and agrees to leave the island. Having destroyed the ship she used to come to on Act 2, Luke raises his own X-Wing, previously seen submerged in the coves of the island, to allow Rey to face Palpatine. In addition to the starfighter, Luke gifts Rey with a lightsaber that once belonged to Leia. He tells her how Leia left her saber with Luke when she stopped training, and Luke kept it on him. He then points Rey to where he kept it safe in his hut. Rey boards the X-Wing, armed with coordinates for Palpatine's location, obtained from Vader's Wayfinder, and leaves the planet. Next, we head to the Resistance Jungle Base. After returning to the Jungle Base, several things happen. After seeing the sacrifice made by 3PO, R2 reveals that he has a backup of C-3PO's memories in his archives and is able to restore the droid to a mostly whole state. My sources believe this backup memory to have been created sometime around the time of The Force Awakens. It's an older C-3PO, but it's better than no 3PO at all. Lando re-enters the story, having changed his mind, coming to the Jungle Base, and wanting to help however he can. It is at this time that Rey begins transmitting coordinates into the unknown regions obtained from the Wayfinder to the Resistance. The Resistance mobilizes, readying themselves for the impending conflict. Moving to the unknown regions in Exegol, Rey follows the coordinates found in the Wayfinder to the same spot Kylo did earlier in the film. Rey lands outside the giant cube floating above the ground and makes her way through the same underground passages. The cube, composed of black rock, floats several meters above the ground and is so massive that one corner cannot be seen in frame. As Rey travels down into the depths of the planet, giant Sith statues can be seen, where Rey and Kylo's experiences begin to differ, come in with Rey discovering Palpatine. Palpatine is not in the same chamber that Kylo discovered him in, but in a huge arena surrounded by Sith loyalists in dark cloaks. In the grandstands, Palpatine is being supported by some kind of mechanical arm, possibly connecting him to life support machinery. Rey begins to confront Palpatine. During this conversation, Sidious reportedly confirms Rey's lineage and goads her on to take up a lightsaber and strike him down, very much like how he encouraged Luke to do with the same thing 30 years prior, telling her that only in killing him will she gain the power needed to save her friends. Palpatine also apparently makes statements alluding to the belief that Vader could not betray Luke due to their familial bond, and that the same kind of bond would ultimately cause Rey to do whatever the Emperor wishes. During his taunts, the sickly Sith opens the roof of the stadium chamber, revealing that the sky above is filled with Star Destroyers, soon to be embroiled in conflict with the approaching Resistance. As the battle between the First Order, Empire, and the Resistance begins to rage in the skies above them, Rey gives in to the Emperor's commands and decides to strike him down. Through means that are still a bit foggy to me, Ben Solo was able to leave the wreckage of the Death Star and his former persona behind and travel to Exegol with the purpose of joining Rey to help her face down Sidious. Before leaving the Death Star's wreckage, Ben abandoned Kylo's lightsaber, so now he's walking into a war zone with no weapon. When he arrives on the planet, he encounters the Knights of Ren, who are guarding the entrance to the arena where Rey and Sidious are. Ben reportedly dispatches each of them using only the Force. After doing that, he enters the arena as Rey is about to strike the Emperor using Leia's blade. Ben grabs Anakin's lightsaber and warns Rey to reconsider what she is about to do, to not kill the Emperor in anger. Seeing Ben arrive pleases Sidious. He then uses his power to bond them together and begins to siphon power from that bond and direct it into himself. As the power flows into him, the once silky and decrepit Palpatine stands tall and strong once again, restoring himself to a much younger, healthier state. Now we go to the skies over Exegol. While all this action is happening on the ground, much more explosive events are happening in the sky. The Resistance and the First Order are locked in battle. The details I have on what happens during this branch of the plot are a bit sparse at the moment, but here's what I have been told. The Resistance arrives, and they are confronted with hundreds of Palpatine's Sith Star Destroyers. Their goal is to take out the flagship of their destroyers, where General Plaid is located. Taking out the flagship will supposedly sever communications with the rest of the fleet, and prevent them from being able to navigate the perils of the unknown regions. At one point, during the battle, Finn and Janna, joined by others, land on Pride's flagship to destroy it. They recognize this as essentially a suicide mission, but Finn and Janna in particular see they may have to pay as worth it to prevent more children from being abducted like they once were. One of my sources described it to me like a D-Day type mission for the Resistance, where they attempt to land onto a moving Star Destroyer amidst the battle scene. Having returned to full strength, Palpatine shoots lightning into Ben, forcing him to fall into a bottomless abyss, never to be seen again. Sidious then shoots lightning into the sky at a Resistance ships. He reportedly continues to make statements about how Rey will join him. In defiance of this, Rey grabs both Anakin and Leia's lightsabers, and Palpatine turns his wrath on her. It's lightsaber versus lightning, and at this point, when it seems like they have all hope is lost, the spectators of Luke and Leia come to her aid. They jointly work toward overpowering the Emperor, deflecting his lightning back toward himself, killing him and unleashing an explosion powerful enough to make the arena start to crumble around them. Darth Sidious, at last, and the Sith Lords is finally dead. At the same time, Finn and Janna complete their mission and succeed in destroying Pride's flagship. The two are prepared to go down with the ship, but are rescued at the last second by the Falcon. Rey escapes the crumbling arena. Back on the Resistance jungle base, having won the day, the survivors of the battle regroup at the jungle base and celebrate. What follows is apparently celebration across the galaxy, once again mirroring what is seen at the end of Return of the Jedi. Back to Tatooine. For the end of the film, the heroes then travel to where everything began, the desolate, sand-swept planet of Tatooine. Between defeating Sidious and at this moment, Rey has disassembled Anakin and Leia's lightsaber and used their components to construct one of her own that contains a yellow blade. Rey buries the leftover pieces beneath the Tatooine sand at the site of Lars' homestead. As Rey turns to join Finn, Poe, Janna, Chewie, R2, 3PO, BB-8, and D-O, a stranger calls out to her. The stranger apparently speaks of how nobody has been seen around this land for a very long time, and asks Rey for her name. This is the second time in the film that this question has been posed to her, but unlike her response on Pasaana, Rey has decided who she was. She gives the name Rey Skywalker to the stranger, adopting the name of her masters and revealing the primary meaning of the title of the film. As Rey begins to rejoin her friends, she catches a glimpse of some familiar glowing figures watching over her. The assembly of heroes look off into the distance at the horizon of the desert planet and watch twin suns set on a universe filled with hope. The end. So here's my commentary. That is a freaking great Act 3. When Ben comes in and busts up the Knights of Ren with just his Force abilities, that's awesome because he got his butt kicked to Rey every single other time they fought in these 3 movies. Total of 5-6 times? And then he just comes and whips him up. But the way that this makes it sound like he dies is really sad. But then, I've been on the Rey Skywalker train since The Force Awakens. I thought it was an obvious lineage. And then the fact that they satisfy multiple groups with the Palpatine being the actual bloodline, and then Skywalker as the name she chooses is good enough for me. The fact that she ends up being a Skywalker in the sense that her name is going to be Rey Skywalker, I'm very happy about that. I'm still digesting all of this. We're going to do some more in-depth coverage on this in the future on each of these sections, but let me know what you guys think about this with the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless, and may the Force be with you.